What an insane game, folks, we just witnessed here between game one of the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference Finals with the Pacers and the Knicks. And we'll get into Nuggets Wolves, but Uncle Dave, while it's fresh right now, hot off the grill, this game right here, this Knicks and Pacers game, what an unbelievable game here with the Knicks being up 14 points with about 6 minutes left, and the Pacers
yeah.
come rallying back. And we kind of talked about it too with this Indiana team that they're just going to constantly come at you and keep rallying, and the pace they play, they're never going to be totally out of it. So even
Yeah.
with a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left, was not safe. The Knicks were up eight with about 36 seconds left, and the
14 with 2:35.
yeah, and the Pacers just come rallying back and win this game. And Aaron Nesmith just goes ballistic. He has his career high 30 points. Picked a good night for it. Hits five three-pointers in the fourth quarter, eight for the game. Hits all four of his free throws. Just an insane type of game here. The Knicks wind up going up four in overtime, 129, 125. And Nimhart hits a huge three in the corner there to cut it to one. Obi Toppin had two big he had a putback dunk that was huge.
Yeah.
The Knicks wound up having foul trouble. I think that's kind of what hurt them. Brunson really couldn't play any defense in the fourth quarter because he was afraid to pick up his sixth. What was your takeaway from this game, Uncle Dave? It was absolutely insane.
The thing that pisses me off, though, is after games, again, there are narratives that take place because of a win or a loss when the facts are the same, whether you win or lose. And so right now they're saying all of a sudden the Knicks look tired. All you got to do is make one fucking play. And we're not talking about the Knicks being tired.
No,
Now,
it's so true.
all the same facts are the same facts, whether you win or lose the game. And this is what people never learn from these fucking games. We talked about this the other night. If you give away a game like this, and this is the worst giveaway I've ever seen in the NBA history. This is
You
this is
just
like
talked
game
about it last
five.
show. Our last show, we
Yeah,
talked about it. The team that
this is
usually
like
gives
game
away a
five,
game.
1984. This is game five, 1984, except the Knicks won that game in overtime thanks to Bernard King. Isaiah Thomas scored 16 points in a minute and a half. But the thing is, like, you have to cooperate in giving this lead away. Now, you're gonna laugh. I think the key play of this game is with about 10 seconds on the shot clock, and the Knicks, I think, are up five. He throws the ball to Anunoby, and then they do the review. Why are you throwing it to Anunoby there? They have to foul you.
Yeah.
He throws, I know Anunoby's but under the basket by himself. He holds the ball there. They must foul him for 10 more seconds. Going to go off the clock, and he hits at least one or two. So there, Pacers get the ball, bang a three. Now I think it was a 6 or a 5 point lead at the time. So you could say, well, Jalen played 43 points, and you're right, but hold the ball there. There's no reason to try and score there. Take clock and make them foul your best player, which is Jalen Brunson. The other thing I don't like is not having Brunson on the floor for defense. I don't care if he's got five fouls. He's one of your smartest players. Don't give me that offense defense shit. Ask Popovich how that worked in game six versus the goddamn Miami Heat. You don't take Duncan off the floor there. I don't want to hear any crap about matchups or any other crap. So this game tonight, though, it's 27-4 on points off of turnovers.
Yes, that was a
To me,
stat that
that's the
was
key
staggering.
stat.
That's a
And
staggering
and
stat.
and, and with all that, the Knicks should still win the game. So like it's like saying what we did with the Celtics the first two games. They shoot 25% from three, and with all that, they had 20-point lead. So again, this is how the NBA is. This is how basketball is today. And again, teams today have no patience. Time and score is never even a thought anymore.
I think
You
now with the
must take the
three-point
clock.
shot, the clock
Yep,
management now has to be so much. It's even more important.
yep,
I think now it's
exactly.
easier to come back. It's easier to come
Right,
back
but
now.
exactly, but they do it even less. So I
Yeah,
know you say, well, Anunoby's under the basket by himself, but obviously not because freaking Pascal Siakam gets a hand on it. They come down. It's that you hold the ball there. All of a sudden, they got to come foul you. It's like 10 seconds on the shot clock. I forget how much time is on the clock there. I think it's like 28 seconds in the game. You hold the ball there. You have to foul you. You always tell your teams, look, if we're up two scores and there's like 40 seconds left, we don't even have to take another
yeah.
shot and
You
we
can
can win
take
this game.
shot. You can take a shot clock violation.
You
Yeah.
can take a shot clock violation because time is your biggest asset right there, and it's their biggest enemy. But this game tonight, I mean, this is the worst loss I've seen in NBA history. 14 with 2:35 on the clock is something I've never seen.
Yeah, it's
I've seen 8 with a minute 34. Obviously, that's a different time in 1984, like I said. But Isaiah went off that night. But the bottom line is I've never seen a ball bounce that high. Don Nelson shot in Game 7 of '69 bounced like
Yeah,
5 feet in the air.
the Tyrese Halliburton shot, that kind of, it's not even a roll, but that kind of bounce where the ball goes up literally to the rafters and just drops right into the net. I've never
And you
seen a
couldn't even
shot like
see it
that.
on the screen. That's how high it bounced.
The
The
Kawhi,
screen lost sight of the ball.
yeah, the Kawhi Leonard shot in 2019 against Philadelphia was pretty insane, but this one might be even more insane. Just the
Yeah, this one's more insane. Kawhi's wrapped around the rim. This one went so high the camera lost it. I'd like to get an
exactly, it
angle
was
where I
out
can see it.
exactly, it was out of the frame.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to see where the frame is. But so the narrative all of a sudden the Knicks got tired. And then so on TNT they try to blame Tibbs because everybody they go, well, how can he stand just playing 7 guys over 20 minutes tonight? Well, Pacers only played 6 guys over 20 minutes. So again, check your bullshit narratives. You lost because you gave the shit away. You made poor decisions with the ball clock management. I just posted on freaking Instagram time and score. That's all I need to say. If you don't know what that means, then you didn't watch this game tonight. I mean, time and score matters. Ask the Duke Blue Devils.
yeah.
Ask the Duke Blue Devils if
This
time and
this
score
game
matters.
has this kind of, it has a similar feel to it. I think this game.
Again, there's a pattern. I've watched as much basketball as any living human being besides Hubie Brown. I'm telling you right now, I've seen the 2 worst losses, one in college and one in the pros
Same year.
this year. What does that tell you? It's time.
Yeah,
Don't hold them accountable.
yeah,
Make them take clock. So you might say, well, Jalen had this and Jalen had that. Hold the ball there. Game's over. But you don't do it. And everybody talks about not fouling. Indiana chose not to foul. You know how I feel about that. Don't foul. They played defense. Letting Nismith get all those shots. That's something I don't understand. But this game tonight, when you look at the box score, this is a game where you could say, well, gee, either team could say to themselves, well, we should have won with those
I
with
think
those numbers.
Nimhard I think has two of the biggest plays in the game, getting the deflection and having the ball go
Yep.
off Brunson there.
Yep.
I thought that was absolutely a huge play for them. I think at
Yeah.
that point they're up. I think it's one. I think when that happens,
Yep.
and then the other play he had where he had a back door for a layup. That was a
Well,
huge
here's the
play.
thing.
He's made some.
Both teams shoot 51%. The Knicks only shoot 32 from three, and the Pacers shoot 40 from three, and that's a big difference. Knicks get 7 more free throws because I have to tell you when the Knicks when Brunson wasn't in the game, the ball moves too. Let's be honest. They're up 2 points. He
They had a
checks out. They're up
17.
16.
They had a 17-6 run with him on the bench.
And they also had a good run in the end of the first quarter with him on the bench. So I'm not saying they're better without him, but I'm saying is the ball isn't dominated for 23 seconds by one person.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says, the game is not meant to be played that way. And Luka Doncic can dribble the shit out of it all he wants. So can LeBron James. The game is not played that way. And I know because Magic Johnson dribbled it, but he gave it up and cut through and got it back.
Right.
This is just stuff where I'm sorry. They played great without Brunson on the court. The ball moved. They actually ran plays. They didn't just run him into the freaking middle of the lane, make 3 or 4 post moves and chuck it up. Now I know he's a great player, but the ball moves. The ball moves so much better. They go on a 14-0 run with him on the bench.
I think the thing with him is too, his usage rate is so high. For him only to have 5 assists, it's kind of
Oh
glaring.
God,
You should
you're
have a
playing
high,
point guard.
yeah,
You're playing point guard.
with his usage rate, he should be a double guy every night.
And the
Uh,
weird thing is, they got Bridges being covered by Halliburton tonight, and we talked about this. We thought he would cover Hart. Well, the Bridges goes 8 for 16. Well, if Halliburton's covering him, why not attack his ass more? How is Halliburton only getting out of there with how many fouls? He only had 3 fouls. You got to go right through his chest. This guy could hula hoop through a Cheerio. You got to go through his chest, and they didn't do it. If you're Bridges, just drive at him. He's not gonna stop you.
yeah,
So I mean, this is a game where you could look at it and say this is tragic for the Knicks. We talked about this. You never get this game back. I don't care if you win by 100 on Friday. You should be up 2-0.
right.
And now you cannot get it back. People always say, "Oh, we lost the title to him last year. We get revenge." No, you didn't. That title ain't coming back. You
Well,
lost. Duke could win the title next year, and it wouldn't be revenge. That title's gone. It's never coming back.
right.
You cannot get this game back tonight. Doesn't mean you can't win a series, but very seldom is a team who blows a game like this win a series. Like I said, 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks, wrong sport, but they did. They blew 3 of them, and they still won the series. But the thing is, this is just incredible. Like again, you could say the Knicks really gave this game away with the stat line. They should have won, but again, the Celtics did this twice with the Knicks. The Celtics were shooting 25% and up 22 times and lost. So the Knicks played the same pace as the Pacers wanted to play.
Well, that's what Charles
Barkley
Barkley said right after the game.
He said at halftime. That's right.
He said the pace is totally an Indiana pace. He's right. I think the fact that they only play seven guys in the Knicks, you can fault that for them now, but that's how they've been playing basically all year. In order to win this kind of series, they have to play from ahead in the series. The fact that they have to win now 4 games still after playing game one and a very,
Yep.
mentally and physically taxing game one, it goes into overtime. Now there's a ton of pressure on them because now you have to win game two. Game two now is a must win for you.
And this is where
Wow.
this is a little bit of a veer off topic. This is where sports talk in New York now sucks because I'm telling you right now, you were alive for the end of it, but Mike and the Mad Dog was still on the air. This would be must listen radio tomorrow at 1 o'clock when you had two professionals behind the mic.
Yes.
Today, we have Loogie and fucking Tiki Barber and Evan Roberts. I mean, this is like the geek squad. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Tiki's a pro, but Evan Roberts is like a geek. This guy Loogie is like the kid who got beat up and thrown in his locker in high school. So tomorrow you'll get nothing off of WFAN tomorrow. You'll get no value out of this. Sal and BT maybe at 10 o'clock you get a little value. At least they're passionate. In the morning show, Greg is just
It's
a fat cat now, out of shape, living in Sayville and counting his money. Has no passion anymore for anything. He sucks. Boomer will care, but only because he's a Knicks fan. They'll give you nothing out of it. At 10 o'clock, you might get something, but at 2 o'clock tomorrow, you'll get nothing good. Evan Roberts just sucks. I mean, he was good with Joe Benigno because at least Joe held him accountable to the fire, feet to the fire. But so this is where sports talk in New York has a void. But I'll tell you what, NBA radio is awesome during the playoffs. I listen to it every second I can. And tomorrow they'll be passionate, except for Rob Perez. I can't stand him waxing poetic, worldwide wob. He's just awful. But Daniels will be great tomorrow. Scalabrini and Frank Casolo will be great tomorrow. Eddie Johnson and it'd be great tomorrow. You got to listen to NBA radio tomorrow. It's going to be just amazing because the insight is off the chart. And this is where New York has a void right now. It's just that's not good.
I think what's glaring for the Knicks, you look at the box score, they missed 12 foul shots in this game. That right there that sticks out like a sore thumb right there. That
Yeah.
and the fact of, I mean, obviously in a game like this, you go into overtime, you're going to have some turnovers, but you look at the Pacers only have 7 and the Knicks have 15. So you look at the free throws and the turnovers. That's the first stat I always look to when you see who won or lost a game. And that tells it right there. The Knicks, if you just tighten up a little bit on both of those, you win this game easily. And let's be honest, like you said, in order to lose a game like this in the position they are, you have to kind of give it away. It's not
You
so
do.
much what
You
the
have to
Pacers can do.
cooperate.
Yeah, you have to play along in order for that
And
to
then the
happen.
bad news is the Knicks out rebound them by 7, so we knew that was coming. So Knicks can punish them on the glass. That is Indiana's weakness. We talked about that before the series. The guy that really stepped up for Indiana, who hasn't done anything all playoff, is really Obi Toppin.
Yes.
He looked good tonight. 4 for 9 with 10 rebounds. To get 10 rebounds out of him, that's a lot because he's a guy who likes to hang on the
Yeah, he had
perimeter.
two huge plays too for them here. I mean, man,
Sure
might have
did.
been two of the biggest plays in the game. The
Yep,
putback
he got
dunk
fouled on
and
the
then
dunk.
and then on the pick and roll,
Yep,
slipping
he
to the
got fouled in
basket.
that dunk too.
He did, yeah, it was. It should have been an N1.
But I mean, like such a great game. And anybody who says Halliburton's underrated just doesn't know what they're looking at. I think on that last play when he hits the 2-pointer, which was originally called a 3, I believe Nesmith was open on the right wing and he passed him up. Because Halliburton's like Reggie Miller that way. He's going to take it himself.
Yeah, he was looking for
And
the
so
win there. Yeah,
Nick fans, Nick,
I thought he had he could have shot a floater there or a mid-range shot, but then he
yeah,
pulled it out there to go for the dagger for the
yeah.
win.
In my lifetime, now, I'm not old enough to remember Jerry West hitting that full court shot versus the Knicks in the finals, but this is the worst Nick loss I've seen in my lifetime. And
Yeah,
again,
especially
part of the reason,
when you put the stakes out,
yeah,
for what it's worth. Yeah.
and part of the reason why it's so tough to root for New York teams as a New York guy who doesn't is the fans. The fan base tomorrow will be in full ref blew the game mode, which is bullshit because they didn't. So you got every call during that 14-0 run. They called 2 3-point shooting fouls in a row. Both of them were a fart in the wind as far as fouls were called. And
I
they
thought
called
the
both.
officiating was fine. I didn't think that was the reason why
Yeah,
they
it
lost. Yeah.
sucked for both teams. I
Yeah.
thought. I thought it was pretty inconsistent for both teams. There was a lot of murder out there, a lot of grabbing. But it's
Well,
Gus Alfieri.
how about that last possession for the Knicks? Bodies are just fucking flying all over
Yeah.
the place underneath the
Well,
basket.
it's the old Gus Alfieri thing. He used to say, if you foul enough, they can't call everything. And rest in peace,
These guys
Gus.
are
But Gus
just
was right.
Yeah, bodies just hitting the deck, and there was just no call whatsoever. But you know what? You have I like that though. They allow in the playoffs, they allow more. Neesmith, he was able to kind of get up into Brunson, and some people are complaining about a foul on that. But I think as long as you're not impeding the guy's progress through hand checks, I think you allow the guys to play like that.
What we didn't see tonight that I'm surprised of is we did not see any Carlisle zone. I'm very surprised. He's been mixing it in a little bit. We saw a lot in the OKC game, which we'll get to.
Yep.
But I was really shocked because the Knicks was scoring at will. The Pacers couldn't get a stop.
Hey, mate, you do it, I think, as a wrinkle just to try to change him up and change the look and see if does that maybe throw them off a bit. But yeah, you're right. It
And
didn't
I
happen.
and I think we stumbled into something tonight. If you're Indiana, it'll be interesting to see when they watch the film. Obviously, when you're down like that with a couple of minutes left, you have to scramble on defense. But when you do that, you force guys to make decisions that aren't natural reads that are worked on in practice. So, for example, as soon as you double, you get the ball out of Brunson's hands. And two or three times in that last couple of minutes, Brunson left his feet and threw the ball to the middle of the court and got away
Well,
with it.
yeah, that one where he tries to save the ball, where he's cornered
Yep,
in the
yep,
corner there. I mean, the
yep,
ball was live in the middle of the floor, just bouncing around there. If the
yep.
Pacers, they could have maybe
And the
had
one
that
where they
same
inbounded
lead
at
there.
midcourt and Hart ran it down. So, like, if you're
I
the
know he
Pacers, you
tripped
got
on
to take.
that. I mean, they looked very
Yep,
shaky the Knicks inbounding the ball here. Like
yep,
I said, it's like Duke flashbacks here against
yep.
Houston.
And if you're the Pacers, you got to take a look at that and say, with my bench, can I go hard for 3 or 4 minutes doing that? Can
Right.
I frazzle them and make sure the ball gets out of Brunson's hands? Can I do that?
Yeah.
I think you can. Now the bad news is Hart, Bridges, and Anunoby can drive the ball and dunk it on anybody, and Towns can hit a three, but it's just a different look. They have enough depth where they could do that. It'll be interesting to see if they stumble into this because
And Towns
now
had a
this is
great
where
game tonight. He had
he
35. He
did.
had 11 of 17. He was fantastic tonight.
And this is where Carlisle, I think, can earn his money here. I mean, and just say, hey, maybe I make an adjustment. Yeah, you feel bad because Towns did play well, but everybody's going to remember how badly he missed that shot. But Anunoby at first didn't shoot it enough tonight. 16 points for him. Bridges 16. Yeah, Towns 35. Brunson 43. Hart 13 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, pretty impressive. Knicks moved the ball. I thought Robinson played great, and Knick fans have been crushing him forever. And I kept saying, wait till he gets back because he's a very good shot blocker.
The problem with the Knicks
But
is now you're not.
yep,
There's no way you're thinking that they're going to get 43 and 35. I know there are guys with high usage rate, Towns and Brunson, but you're like Jesus. You have your two top guys get 43 and 35, and
well,
you don't win the game. That's really deflating there.
I think this is a big series for Towns because during the year he did put a 40 bagel up. They didn't have Turner that night on him, but he's put up 29 and 35 versus Turner this year, the two times they met. And so there's something about that matchup. But at the end of the game, you see that Indiana wins small. Turner wasn't really on the floor too much when they had to speed him up. But this is interesting. I think it'll be a good series for Towns. I thought, Nemhard, Nesmith would do a better job on Brunson. They did not. When Shepard came in, he abused them.
Well, Reggie Miller even
Uh,
talked about it. He's like, maybe you put a Siakam on Brunson to show a bigger body on
right.
him. I agree. When a
Yeah.
guy's rolling like that, I think in a certain kind of matchup with a guy physically, you maybe just to try it, just to change it up's sake, you throw a bigger
Yep.
guy at him and make him make a different read. I kind of agree with what Reggie Miller said because
And,
Brunson
and
definitely
and
was
this
having
is
his way.
where And this is where depth really helps you. So you look at OKC, they've had nights where totally different guys have stepped up and had like a 25
Yeah,
bagel or
I
like a
always
30
like the
bagel.
deeper team because of that reason. What you just
And
said.
so look at Nesmith tonight. Now Nesmith tonight goes off for what, 30? I mean,
30
he goes
points.
off for
Yeah,
30.
yeah.
So now you say, well, Siakam only had 17, and you're right. Now that would matter if Nesmith didn't get 30, that would matter.
Right. If he
But
had his
this is
average,
the
yeah,
key. This
yeah.
is the key to depth. And Nemhard has 15. So you say, all right, well, Miles Turner only had 14 and he was 6 of 11. But you know what? If another guy gets hot, it doesn't matter. It's always old expression I always say to my team. It doesn't matter who scores. It matters that we score. And that's so true
It's
in this
true. Yeah.
situation. So again, like you have guys who stepped up all series long now, different guys for OKC and different guys now for the Pacers and the two deepest teams in the tournament. And I thought Matt Mathurin could have got a couple of more minutes. He was not hitting his shots, but still 2 for 5, not terrible. I mean, just a really crazy game.
Yeah,
Just a
Neesmith, I
couple of
mean, eight of nine, and the 1-3 he hit on Hart. Hart slips, he hits a rip through on him, and he just
yep.
rises up and drills a three, nothing but net. I mean, he had some shots that were incredibly tough, and the one drive that Halliburton had late in the game too, where the ball hung on the rim for a second there. That was a great take by him, going into Hart's chest right there and being
You know
able
what
to
I was thinking
rim.
about last night? After we'd had the show the other night, where we talked about drafts and stuff, just joking around. you really got to give credit to the four GMs left. Now I know everybody says, yeah, blah blah, you're in the final four of NBA, you got to give credit, but no, no. There's a lot of moves by these GMs. They just didn't inherit shit. They just didn't go off and trade for a super team.
No.
They signed Halliburton, and
Yeah,
everybody in America thought that contract was crazy,
he was on the Kings
including me.
initially. Yep.
Yep. Then you draft Nemhard from Gonzaga because he wasn't one of the top five players in the draft, but he's a
I was
winning
not.
player from a winning
Yep.
program.
Yep.
You go out and get Siakam from a bad Toronto team.
TJ
I mean,
McConnell.
this is, yeah, McConnell you signed for a long-term deal. All right. Toppin you pick up off that scrap heap.
Thomas
But
Bryant.
you know what? Yep. I mean, so
Yep.
Bryant's been around for a couple of years out of Indiana. So I mean, and then the Knicks, they to show some incredible balls and go get Towns and give away, obviously Randall and DiVincenzo. And
What I
then you
like
got to give
about
Minnesota.
Yep. What I like about these four teams left, they're very blue collar. Very blue
Yep,
collar. There's nothing
and
Hollywood
Minnesota, you
or
got to
elite
give
about
them
them.
credit.
Yeah.
Minnesota rolled the dice too, and then of course OKC. We talked about Presti has just done an amazing
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
And then, but then even and all four teams have just done an amazing executive work, and you got to give them credit. But to me, Nesmith and Nemhard are the work that I just think is the incredible part for Indiana here. And it's just, I mean, Nemhard, like I said, take him from a winning program, and it's so impressive. But I was just thinking about this today, and all the best players on each team were traded away. Halliburton was let go. Brunson was let go. We
Yeah, a
got
lot of these guys are casts off. How about that, right?
Randall. Well, actually, the only one that wasn't was Edwards. He was a stud.
Yeah. But even
But
Gilgeous
the other
Alexander,
three,
though, he was on the Clippers originally. He wasn't
yeah,
drafted
the
by the
Clippers.
Yep.
What was it? The Clippers was a Paul George for him?
Yes. Oh God, how
Oh
bad
my
that
God.
was.
Oh my God. That's
How
right
bad
there. You got
that
me fired. Whoever the Clipper GM for that was, he better not still be there.
Yeah, that one. You never live in
And
that
I don't want to
one.
hear about Luca for Anthony Davis comparing to that one because it's not. At least Anthony Davis is a fucking stud already.
He is. He is a stud.
This guy, Shea, you could see he was coming, and George never plays. So what are you
Yeah.
thinking?
Well, Paul George once was a very good player. Not no more though.
Absolutely not anymore. But this is just incredible that these GMs did such a solid job. And I'm
They
going to
have.
tell you, there's a lot of
How funny is
there's
it
a
that
lot
they're
of
the last four teams left?
there's a ton of bad GMing out there, and I'll always tell you the truth. I don't give a crap. I don't kiss ass. So I've told you there's been a lot of bad GMing, but that's some really good GMing. So we say it when it is. But I was just surprised that we didn't attack Halliburton a little more on defense side. Now I know that he's not playing crazy amount of minutes. He only played 42 minutes because it was overtime, but got to go after him more on defense because he's so small in the chest. He's the
Yeah,
thinnest guy out there.
you gotta
Go right
headhunt a
through him.
little bit. I think especially with the five guys the Knicks have out there, because Towns, he's not gonna be on him. So that means he's either gonna have to guard Hart, Bridges, Brunson, or Anunoby. I think any of them offensively. Like you
Yeah,
said,
he's
I
not
think
going
they
to
have
guard Brunson because
yeah, exactly.
Brunson killed him.
All those guys I think are quick enough or talented enough or strong enough to kind of maybe expose that a little bit. So I'm surprised as
Yeah,
well.
he was covering
Maybe
Bridges, and Bridges had a good night.
and maybe if they do that, that's maybe when Carlisle will use some zone. But like you said, I think he's waiting to pull that out of his pocket. He didn't tonight, but we know he's not afraid to. He's done it in the past. So
No, I mean the zone was OKC last night. That was one of the ugliest games I've ever seen, but it was a very intelligent game
yes,
for OKC.
but this game was absolutely fantastic to watch, extremely entertaining. So it's like I said, it's one of these things we talked about in the past. You just are excited for the next game, and this
Yeah,
is
wait.
a series that's going to be fantastic. Game two, the mindset that you're going to have is going to be incredible if you're the Pacers to try to win this game too, because obviously if you're the Knicks, you kind of have that game seven feel already because you can't drop those first two games at home. It's only been five teams, I think, in the history of the NBA that have dropped the first two at home as the favorite and have won the series. Oh,
Yep,
that was 3-1 and not dropping the first two, but they got down 3-1 and wound up coming back.
yep.
But yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. Once you're down two games or more, it's extremely hard to come back then. Is there anything else, Uncle Dave, you want to touch on this before we move on to the Thunder?
Well, we just have to see how you react here. The New York media, we both live in New York. You know that the fans here are just going to
Yeah, I think
be.
the adjustments. I think obviously we're gonna have to see what these coaches say in the post game press conference. It's going to be interesting to see what their thoughts are on this one. But I agree.
Tibbs was just saying that they made shots and they made shots, but you know what? It's worse than that. Like you got to inbound the ball better. Obviously, no one works on inbounding the ball. I don't know what the hell they're doing in NBA
That's
practice.
where I think the Pacers have the advantage in the coaching department over the Knicks. I think in
That's what he
situations
said the other
like
night.
that,
I tell you,
I
that's
think
my one fear.
Carlisle, I think, is a little more of a crafty coach than Thibodeau on those kind of
Oh,
things.
Carlisle will do anything.
Yes.
He doesn't care. He'll sell his mother for a quarter if he gets him a win. He'll do anything. He's unbelievable.
Rick Carlisle is just he's a fantastic coach. Like I said, if he winds up getting a second championship as a coach here, you have to look at him in a
He's a
different
Hall of
light.
Famer.
Yeah, you have to look at him in a different light if he wins a
Yeah,
second.
Hall of Famer.
Thibs, like you said, he's gonna kind of go back to, we just have to pound the hammer harder. I think that's kind of how he is as a coach, and I love him as a coach.
Sure.
He's fantastic. But
Sure.
guy like him, his teams are always a great defensively. When they're up double digits with, like you said, a couple minutes left, it's usually you can put that one in the bag. The Pacers, like you said, they just offensively are so lucrative. And the guys have just that can hit shots all over the place, and they believe too. There's certain teams that
They do believe.
they don't have that tough mentality. Halliburton, he's just like water off a duck's back. Like nothing bothers him. He's like a goof kind of a
No,
little.
he's crazy.
Yeah. So, and he had 11 assists. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's kind of how I want Brunson's stat sheet to look. He has the ball in his hands too much to only have 5 assists. He's
Yeah,
got to assist
absolutely.
more.
He's a dribble guy. He's a Luka will get 10 assists at least, but this guy just dribbles the game away. And it's like, I know he had played a great game and no one's gonna even think to bring
And
it up. But
Halliburton hitting the Reggie Miller choke sign when the game went into overtime. Like you have to win this game now, otherwise that's going to not look great.
huge.
And they
Huge.
wound up pulling this one out. So yeah, this is a very memorable game. I mean, this is one of the best games I think I've ever seen in the NBA. It's incredible.
Me too.
Obviously, if you're a Knicks fan, it's one of the worst. But we're watching just no bias here or anything. Just
Well,
as
it's funny.
basketball fans.
I said to your aunt as we're watching the game, and she's the one that said this game wasn't over. It wasn't me. I thought the game was over. So
I
I gotta
kind
give
of
you a
thought it
shout
was
out.
too. I thought it was too because with the Garden going crazy and everything, you kind of be like, all right, we just pack it in here and
That's a
we
shout out to
go for
Aunt
game two.
Catherine for you, because she said it wasn't over, and she was right. I was wrong. But the
Yeah,
funny thing was, I remember the 1995 game where Reggie Miller makes like 6 points in like 6 seconds, and they go
yeah,
to overtime and win game one, and that's what the choke sign was. And I thought for sure they were going to show that highlight during the freaking
yeah. Eight
showing the
points in
game
10
tonight.
seconds. Yeah.
But Halliburton will be the new villain. But I'll tell you, that's just a horrendous loss, and I don't know. I mean, they can still win the series, obviously, but it'll take a special group of people to win that series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just now it's about the Pacers winning three before the Knicks can win four. The fact that it's so
Yeah,
early,
it's so hard.
the fact that it's game one of the series, you can recover. I think these games when they happen later in the series, when it's
Yeah,
a rubber game where it's game five or a game obviously six,
sure,
it's tough. I think to then maybe hurdle mentally off of that, but you can kind of justify dropping the first one. And
sure.
hey, we're going to rally here. But game two now, though, the one thing is, if you're Rick Carlisle, you're rallying the troops and you're gathering your shields and swords and saying, hey, we take game two, we end this shit. It's going to be interesting. The rallying cry and saying, hey, are we okay with the split or do we want to put the knife in the neck here and end this thing?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. As Carlisle knows, like in game three at home against Cleveland, Carlisle was pissed because you could see what he knew this was coming with this
Right,
immature team.
right.
Then they come out and they give away a 2-0 lead and they could have put them out of their
Well,
misery
that's the
3-0
thing.
and
The
you
fact
didn't.
that this just happened just basically yesterday, they're going to have that in their mind too. So they're on the other side of the coin now with
Yeah, because
having
because
gone through
guys
that.
today, the players today look at you like, oh, look at the old man just being paranoid. Well, the old man's been there and he's
Right.
been through this crap before. Maybe you
Right.
should listen to him. I've
It's
been
it's
there.
it's
You haven't.
it's funny. He can make that exact point now, and it's fresh in their mind because it just happened last
And
week.
they'll still blow him off. They'll probably still blow him off when he does it. They'll roll their eyes in the goddamn meeting room. They'll be eating a freaking muffin and some other crap, not paying attention. This is what your players do.
This
Oh
is
yeah, I know, coach. I heard you. Yeah, yeah.
this is where you get a guy like James Johnson on the bench who's been a very seasoned vet and a very tough guy. He's a UFC fighter. You say, hey James, just make sure to relay my message to these guys, and if they don't get it, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have the
it's
enforcer.
incredible. It's incredible because like how he's right, and it's just going to sit there, and it's going to be forgotten by the boys on the team. It's just the
Yeah.
way it is.
Yeah, these guys are just relentless though and play extremely hard. So they're a fun group to watch. Like I said, all four teams that are left in the playoffs, they're kind of meat and potatoes, kind of blue collar players. I
You
think
sure are.
it's not you don't have kind of the semantics of the diva kind of feel to it. So it's refreshing. I think that's why we were looking forward to these playoffs instead of all the game ones, the Pacers and the Knicks and the Timberwolves and the Thunder. This game one tonight with the Pacers and the Knicks obviously was more exciting.
Historic game. That's an historic game.
Yeah, it really is. I
You
mean,
you you can you'll watch for 25 more years and you won't see one like that.
it's really incredible. I mean, the Knicks being in the Garden up 8 with 2 minutes with the ball and to lose that game is just
14 with 235.
yeah, that's
14 points.
exciting.
I never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah, they were up 14 with 2:35 left. Yeah.
Yep. The worst I ever saw in college, besides that Duke game, was that Northern Iowa game that year where they were up 12 with 2 minutes left and they lost.
Yeah,
That was pretty bad.
yeah,
That was bad too.
that's a bad
And
one.
again, everybody laughs about inbounding the ball, and not every guy can inbound the ball. Some guys don't throw it to the spot where the guy's going. They throw it to the guy, and while he's moving, if you throw it to him at that point, now it's behind him and the defender is there. You must anticipate where he's going and throw it a foot ahead of him as he's moving in that direction. And so many guys will not do that. And obviously tonight, the Knicks didn't look like they ever worked on inbounding the ball, but and then Brunson, I get you. A couple of times he left his feet. I know he scored 43 points, and no one will bring this up tomorrow because he's loved here in New York, but I still say the throw to Anunoby is a stupid play. I forgot how much is on the shot clock. I want to say 10, but it was pretty fresh at that point, and
The
I'm making them
play,
foul me.
the play, I think that it's getting lost, I think, here too, is Siakam has the ball with a minute 20 left with 7 seconds on the shot clock. He goes baseline and Hart fouls him. They stop the
Yep.
clock and then they have two free throws. He knocks one of them in. And Brunson gets a basket. They're up nine with a minute left. Here, Neesmith, he comes off Siakam handoff. He bangs a three. So then it's 115 to 121 with 51 seconds left.
And when does Anunoby lose that ball with Siakam? What time is that?
Then Towns gets a basket with 40 seconds left. So now they're up eight with 40 seconds left.
Yeah, that's a disgrace.
So,
Disgrace.
so now
Don't
then
even have to take a shot at that
Siakam
point.
hands it off to Neesmith on the top of the key, and he comes off that and bangs that three. So now it's 118, 123 with 34 seconds left. So
And
Neesmith,
this
I
is
mean,
the
I will.
this is where the Anunoby play comes in. They're up five with about 25 seconds left,
Oh, so
and
yeah,
he throws it to Anunoby.
that's right. Brunson gets the ball here. It's 32 seconds left. They're up five with 22 seconds on the shot clock. Now Anunoby tries to make this pass. He's wide open under the basket,
If you
and
hold the ball there, it's over.
he winds up throwing too high of a bounce pass. Anunoby juggles it, and he doesn't get the bucket.
You
So
hold the ball there with 22 seconds on the shot clock and 32 in the game is over.
right, and
Unless you only make one free
that's
throw.
a huge play, like you said too, because it's not a foul. The Pacers wind up getting the ball off the challenge, so yeah, you don't
And
get
they
any.
bang a three.
And
And
then
they bang
after
a
that,
three.
that's when Neesmith he rips the ball, rips through, and Hart falls down. Then he hits a three. Now it's a 2 point game. I mean,
Yeah,
literally, this is just
incredible.
like insane to look at. This might be even worse than the Duke loss,
Yeah,
honestly.
like this, like I said, this is a night where you don't sleep. It's just over for you. You don't sleep. And I'll tell you, with 22 on the shot clock and 32 left in the game, you got to hold the ball there.
Yeah, that's honestly, I think that's some 40 chess
Now,
thinking
I
right
know
there.
everybody will say, no, you got to go for the basket.
Brunson has to hold the ball and say you got to foul me here. Take because you have 22 seconds left on the shot clock. It's one thing if you do that with 4 seconds left to try to score. There's too much time on the clock there to lose the
And
ball.
I'm your best player. Come foul me. I'm your best player. Come and foul me.
Oh my God.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they missed a couple of free throws. Anunoby missed one. Towns missed one.
But you're right though.
I mean,
You're up five with 34 seconds left. The Pacers must foul you. They can't let you take the shot clock down all the
exactly.
way. So you have to get
Exactly. They have
fouled.
to foul you. And they
They
didn't.
must foul you. And so the fact that you turn the ball over literally 3 seconds later after this ball gets inbounded here, that is a
Yep.
killer play right there. That's going to come back to haunt them. I mean, analyzing this game right now, holy shit. You could have taken 20 seconds off. They wouldn't have taken 20 seconds off. You couldn't have, the only thing you couldn't afford to do, you did there, which was turn the ball over
Okay.
immediately.
Yep.
Oh
And
Lord,
then they
yes.
come down and bang a
They
three. And
they,
now you
they hit
got a
a
live
three, and now you have a 2 point game here. So now it's
and
two
now you got a
points.
live dog, as I like
It's
to
two
say.
points with yeah, it's 2 points with 22 seconds left, and the Knicks almost throw the ball away here. Hart
Yep.
winds up slipping. They wind up getting the ball back, and then what? I
Yep.
think gets fouled here. He splits a pair. So that's the thing. He makes only one free throw. Then they
And
fouled
now
the
you got a live dog.
and here's the thing too. I do not like fouling right away on this. There's 12 seconds left. I know you don't want them to hit a three and tie it if you're the Knicks, but you take no time off the clock though.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I mean, literally, the Knicks, the Pacers, they inbound the ball with 13 seconds left, and it goes down only to 12.4. So you
Let
no
them take a
time
dribble.
comes off the clock, and I just don't like it. So now you're inbounding the ball underneath your own bucket, only up one with 11 seconds left. So now, if anything
Yep.
goes wrong underneath your own basket, which it almost did, by the way, because Brunson jumps in the air and throws this ball into the middle of the court, you could have lost
Yep.
the game right there. Anunoby only hits one of the free throws, and then
Yep.
Halliburton hits the shot to send it into overtime, and the rest is history.
Brunson had the other turnover where he wound up on the ground and the Pacers got a run out. So like he had a rough. I know he had 43 points, but he had a lot of turnovers tonight down the stretch. He was not great.
Yeah, I think we've talked about the criticism. I think with him on the floor, obviously he's an excellent player. This guy, he's fantastic. He's fun to watch.
Sure.
The way he scores too in the mid range. I love it. You know, he's a very versatile player. But I
Sure.
think the ball gets glued to him. I think a little bit too much. That's the one criticism I have. I think of the Knicks offensively with him in the game.
Well, like I said, it's great to be a great player, but and I've said this before, if you went to the park tomorrow and played 10 games of basketball and you always had the ball in your hand, you're going to put up numbers, whether they're good or bad.
Right.
Uh, and I'm just saying, like Luca does the same thing. And I know Luca's a better player than Jalen Brunson in many respects. But again, if you have the ball all the time, like look at the efficiency ratings. I mean, good God, like the thing has to move. It has to move. You got to get other guys involved. And, like I just feel like if he penetrates, he has enough good slashers on that team and Hart, Anunoby, and Bridges where he could get dimes left and right. But
Exactly.
they're not
That's the
doing that.
thing.
Everything
That's the thing.
everything is a fadeaway jump shot.
Right.
And I know he's a great player and he got 43 points and Mr. Clutch and all this other crap, but I disagree. The end of that game, you hold that ball there with 34 seconds, you get a 24-second violation. You're up 5 with 10 seconds. Game's over.
And in overtime here, the Knicks are up 56 seconds
They're up.
left. And Halliburton at the top of the key has a great look, a wide open shot after a shot fake. And Obi Toppin just times this putback
Yep.
fantastically. And he winds up throwing it down. I mean, that was a huge play right there. So then it's 134, 133. We got 40 seconds left. Brunson has a great rip through there and hits a floater in
Yep.
the middle of the lane. Yep. So now the Knicks are up one with 35 seconds left. I think this is when Nemhard gets the backdoor cut here.
The
I mean,
funny thing
literally,
is,
Hart on this play, he just falls asleep. He just watches the ball, and Nemhard just cuts right by
right,
him.
the defense and overtime by both teams was
I mean,
horrendous.
this play by Nemhard, I mean, he literally, Uncle Dave, he just walks to the basket here. Josh
Yeah.
Hart's
Well,
looking at
then,
the ball with Halliburton. He loses track
well,
of Nemhard. Nemhard gets a layup.
Brunson's ripped through. Nobody was near him either. Just
Yeah,
terrible defense the whole
yeah,
overtime.
right,
Just terrible. Like it's
right,
almost like both teams just got said, "I'm not playing defense anymore."
right. So we're not going to call it exceptional offense on every one of these plays there. And then
No.
with Nemhard, he gets that's a great deflection right there. 18 seconds left. They try to get the ball to Brunson in winning time here. And that play is absolutely huge. Nemhard, he shoots over the Hart screen and gets the deflection. It winds up going off Brunson's fingers.
Yep, that was huge.
So 136, 135, Indiana's ball here. This is
Get
also a
fouled.
great play here. So they try to foul Nemhard off this screen and roll, and he just lays it up for Obi Toppin.
Yep.
And he winds up just
No
slamming this
defense.
ball through. Yeah, and Bridges fouls him, and they don't call that. That should have been
Yeah.
another one. So now you
Yeah,
have
it's crazy.
138, 135 in this last possession here. I mean, Brunson actually doesn't have a bad look here.
The only thing I'll say about the game is I still think the
Oh, and
the
Towns had a
amount
great look too. Oh,
the amount of contact, the amount of contact that is called sometimes and not others has to be consistent.
yeah.
So if you're going to let them play, you let them play. You cannot call ticky tack after 3 assaults. And they're doing that right now. Like tonight, that game was very poorly officiated for both teams, but they were also poorly officiated because of just contact. You got to call it.
Right.
Like if I'm going to let you go play, I got to let you play the whole night. I can't then call you for farting in the wind down the other end.
Well, the
We got to
thing
be
is too,
consistent.
it's playoff contact, and then there's also contact in late in the game. The refs like to swallow their whistle. They're not going to call anything.
But I get it. I get it. Yeah, we all like that.
So that's kind of what happened. Also, that was what happened right in the Pistons game in the Knicks. Hardaway gets
Sure.
fouled, they think in the corner there, but the refs swallow their whistle. They don't call it. And that any point in the game, though, if that's in the first half, they probably called that foul.
Sure.
So that's what
Sure.
happened there. The first two game ones have been fantastic. So with that being said, Uncle Dave, we'll move over to the Thunder, the Timberwolves. This game right here, the two things that stick out is in that first half, Julius Randle plays out of his mind, and Gilgeous-Alexander was horrific. He was terrible. 2 of 11 in the first half. But the fact that the Timberwolves were only up, I think it was 5 at halftime, I'm like, Jesus, that's not good right there because they played terrible and you're only up 5. So we talked about
Yep.
it too, how
Minutes tell you all you need to know. So here you are, like you said, Julius is out of his mind. OKC can't make a shot, and yet at the end of the quarter, you're down. I think you're up 5, and you're up 4 at the end of the half. And Julius is 5 for 6 from 3, which probably never happened in his life before. But what happens is all of a sudden OKC brings out that cheating defense, which you could basically call it a zone, whatever you want to call it. But basically, you're given that great help. But the thing is, nobody makes an adjustment, and Minnesota gets everything their way. But again, they give up 31 points off of turnovers. and OKC gives up 10 off of turnovers. They get out rebounded by OKC, which I talked about. Minnesota had to pound them in the post, and they did not do it. What OKC is not doing is getting the ball to the middle of that high post against that zone. And OKC did this with Denver. They go like we talked about. I've said this to you for years. I'm going to play zones, and I'm going to filter it to the guy I want. And
Yeah,
that's what OKC is
that's always
doing. They're
made the
getting really
most
good
sense to
at it.
me. Yep.
And they're getting really good at it. Now, if OKC plays somebody like Indiana, there's nobody really to filter it to. But the bottom line is right now they can do that. And so they are doing that. And that's the scary part. If you're Minnesota. Now, there's two questions you got to ask. And which one we're going to buy? Is OKC going to be mature and come out and kick the living crap out of them? Or is Minnesota really this bad? And we talked about this. Is Minnesota played like crap and beat Golden State? I think me, you, and three other guys could have hung with Golden State. But the thing is, are they going to do that? Are they going to step up, Minnesota, or are they going to keep shooting threes? 51 threes. And this is my biggest beef with
Yeah,
today's NBA.
15 of 51. Jesus.
Yeah, and you can't make an adjustment. Don't tell me these are great players if you never will make an adjustment. It leads to my point. The guys are softer, they're not as smart, and they're lazier than they've ever been before because you're not willing to get to the basket
That's why
as
the quick
Anthony
shots.
Edwards,
Yep.
and put your stamp on this game. Instead, you shoot 29% from three. OKC loves the middle range game and they love the high post. They only take 21 threes. That's one of the least 3-point attempt games in the playoffs so far, I'm willing to bet. And they win the game. Why? They get to the line now. Shea gets, he gets a ton of free throws. Everybody's complaining he gets 14 free throws. I saw 3 bad ones on him, stuff like that. But at the same time, most of them were fouls. Obviously, not all of them were fouls, but I saw most of them were fouls.
How about that, Uncle Dave? You shoot 30 more threes and you lose by 26. Maybe there's something to that the
Absolutely. But that's my point.
Analytic nerds can take away from that.
Yeah, and you have Anthony Edwards get to the freaking rack, and when he gets into the middle of the lane, you throw the lob to freaking Gobert. This is what OKC is not good at.
Yes.
And you don't take advantage of it. And Naz Reid has the weirdest release in sport. So I know he's a good player and all, but Jesus, when he's shooting 6 feet behind the line, I'm going to throw up on myself at some point because there's no way he should be taking those shots, but he's taking those shots. And it's just, it's not going to work. And I'm telling you right now, if they're not careful, they could lose in a gentleman's sweep.
I think the Thunder as a collective unit are just a smarter, fiercer group. And defensively, they're just better from top to bottom. So I don't see a path for the Timberwolves to win. And the thing in this game is too, you look at the stat sheet. Only Edwards and Randall were in double figures. They had no one else get at least 10 points. That right there is really glaring right there. You can't win.
Scary. And the box score is just really glaring because you get beat on the boards. That's the one place we talked about. How does Jade McDaniels only get 5 shots?
Yeah.
I know he get in foul trouble, but still, like Gobert, 3 shots? I didn't have to cover him at that point. Like, what are we doing? Like,
I mean, Alexander Walker, 2 of 9 from 3. DiVincenzo, 3 of 12 from 3. Again, DiVincenzo's a guy who's a freak of an athlete. Go to the basket and get fouled, man. He took no free throws.
The scary one for me is Mike Conley plays 23 minutes, has 3 assists. Now, Mike Conley certainly knows what to do versus zone. You got to overload one side of the floor and let Mike Conley handle that side of the floor. Make him make the decisions. Yeah. Get the ball to the high post to Randall. And if you have freaking Edwards on the other side and you have Gobert on the other block in the dunker spot, catch and look opposite or attack. And the guys are going to bounce off him because Chad's going to get in foul trouble trying to cover him. They have nobody physically for him. And if Hartenstein helps up or Chad helps up, you got the lob over the top. This is not hard. And I know that Coach understands that. Coach Jenkins understands that. But the thing is, this was just a cheating defense. You can call it whatever you want, but it's really a zone in a lot of ways. And Minnesota fell right into the trap, skipping the ball at will, taking quick threes, and even getting out rebounded, which is the hardest thing to do in a zone defense.
It's radiating through the screen, the energy that the Thunder have. They're just bringing it so much more than the Timberwolves. It's glaring. The Timberwolves look like they were in quicksand, and the Thunder look like they have rockets out of the back of their ass. So I mean,
the funny thing is that you know what a long rebound does to transition.
Yeah,
and those threes are long rebounds. And if you're not going to win the battle of the boards and you're playing zone, which Jesus God, I mean, OKC is supposed to lose the battle of the boards and they're playing a zone, so they get out in transition, easy baskets. I mean, what are we talking about here? So the box score is very scary, and McDaniels has to stay on the court more because he's the third guy. But Mike Conley has to have a bigger role if you are the T-Wolves. And if you want to win this series, you're going to have Mike make some of these reads, and you're going to have to trust him as a veteran of the NBA. And
Yep.
I do trust him to go make these reads. And you got to get Randall at that high post. Got to get him there. Or get Edwards at the high post and let him attack downhill. Do something, for Christ's sake, because you know what? Just moving it around the perimeter and shooting threes is not working. 51 threes. Now, I talked about this. I know Minnesota's taken a lot during the year, but I don't feel like they're a really very good shooting team. It just, like I said, Naz Reid last night was awful. 1 for 11, 0 for 7 from three, 8 rebounds. So now if you're getting 8 rebounds, that means you're in there. Jump back up and put the goddamn ball in the basket. It makes you sick.
Yeah, he's 6'11",
So
so he's not a
if that, or put him at the high post, let him make it 2.
right.
If you're not careful here, people always think you got to put this big guy at the post. Put a guy who can make a basket at the high post too. So if I put guards there all the time.
Yeah, the
I
bench
know
the
you say
bench
this
for
in
the
the NBA,
Timberwolves
but
is absolutely horrendous. I mean, me and you could have been out there playing better than that.
yeah, so got to make a better decision here against this cheating defense. And if you don't do it,
Yeah.
this is going to get ugly. And I'm telling
Well,
you,
that's
get a
the thing.
gentleman sweep.
The Thunder, you have to think, hey, we can get some backdoor cuts because they're looking to overplay the passing lanes and shoot the gap and get steals. That's how they get a lot of their points and transition off turnovers.
And this is when Rudy can get a lob. You got to get him like
Yeah, I mean,
5
he
dunk
basically
attempts a
was
game.
non-existent. 21 minutes and he only had 3 rebounds. You can't have that.
Yeah.
2 points.
So, and what are you doing? Because Hartenstein's not hitting the jump shot. So when he's in the game, have him cover Hartenstein. He can play him because
No,
Hartenstein's not popping that far out.
Hartenstein only gets the dump offs at the mid range there and throws
Exactly.
the
So if
floater
you,
up.
so
That's it.
Rudy can play when he's in the game. So why not do it?
Yeah.
Just a very strange situation. Uh, I just don't think today's teams are tough enough, mature enough, smart enough, and they just take the easy way out. And again, we're seeing it in this series. People not making adjustments. And I'm sorry, those great Celtic teams are murdered. These Celtics teams. You tell me Shaq and Kobe are settling for 53s in a game? They're
No
not.
way.
Or
No
freaking
way.
Magic and Kareem are settling for 53s in a game? No. Or Bird and McHale? They're not. It's just ridiculous. And so, and neither are the Bulls of the 90s. And, it's one thing if the Warriors do it. They got 2 of the top 3 shooters of all time.
I know.
That's different.
Can we stop trying to duplicate that? You ain't going to do it.
You're
So,
never going to see that again. You're
no.
not going to get a guy who's a better standstill shooter than Klay Thompson.
Right.
And you're
And
never going to get a guy who shoots better off the dribble than
right.
Steph. So,
Exactly.
so
So,
the thing is, like, you're just not going to get that again. So can we stop with that bullshit?
right.
Like, I know it's a copycat league, but it's a copycat when you have the same players.
I know. If you have yeah, you're
Did
not.
the
You don't have
triangle
the same.
offense work for anybody else but the
Oh, I know.
goddamn Bulls?
I
The
know.
triangle offense worked for the fucking Knicks when they couldn't score in the 90s?
Chuck
No.
Daly had the greatest line. Yeah, you take Mike out of the triangle, all of a sudden it's not that great.
See how good it works.
Right.
The triangle work for the Knicks when Phil brought it here? No.
No, it didn't.
It worked for Shaq and Kobe, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know why it worked for Shaq and Kobe? Because it was Shaq and Kobe.
Right.
I mean, come on. Why didn't he take the Nets job or the Knicks coaching job when everybody offered him a bucket of money? Because he didn't have 2 studs to run it through.
So we put our coaching staff hats on right now. If you're the Thunder, you're thinking, all right, there's no way Julius Randle goes 9 of 13 and 5 of 6 next game. But you're probably also thinking there's no way Naz Reid goes 1 of 11 and Dante DiVincenzo goes 3 of 14 and Alexander
Dante's
Walker
been
goes
bad
2
this
of 11.
playoff, though.
So
Dante's not shot well.
no, he's not. He's been awful the whole postseason. But you're thinking, all right, so those, maybe that'll balance itself out. But I just don't see the Timberwolves being able to consistently score. That's the thing. The Thunder are able to do that because of their own ability defensively to kind of put pressure on you. So if they play well enough offensively, it's especially at home, it's hard to beat them.
Yeah, well, the biggest problem I see is just, if you're not willing to make adjustments in these games, we saw the Celtics do it 3 times, and they were still winning 2 of them, like we just talked about. But you have to make adjustments, and the greatest players make adjustments. And what's scary though? Think about the quote you use as a coach. You say all the time when a kid is a good shooter, you probably had this said to you a lot. Get to the foul line so you see it go through the basket.
Yes.
That way it gets you going, and maybe your next shot's in.
Yep.
I'm sure these guys are being told this, and
Of course
obviously
they
they're
are.
not buying in because it's disgusting.
No,
So Naz Reid can't catch a ball in the high post and turn around and shoot it too?
yeah, or get
Come
fouled.
on.
You get your big ass going to the bucket. You're gonna get fouled to want to play.
And again, they're vulnerable on the baseline. Chad weighs a $105. Get this guy through the chest and in foul trouble.
We
And
talked about that.
Hartenstein,
Yeah.
Hartenstein's a good player, but he's not a great shot blocker. Get these guys in foul trouble. It's your advantage. but
Yeah.
nobody has the discipline to take advantage of teams' weaknesses anymore. It's like the
Hartenstein doesn't
scouting
have great
report
feet or
is
anything.
not hurt.
He's a positional player and a smart player defensively. He just
Yeah.
going to be at the right time, but he's not
But
a.
if he jumps with Rudy, he's not winning that jump.
No, he's
Rudy's going to
not.
dunk it on his
He's
fucking
not.
head.
He's not.
And let Naz Reid get a couple of buckets. You can't just hang out around the 3-point line playing like it's LA Fitness.
This is the thing I love about the Thunder. They have 10 guys at least play 10 minutes or more. I mean, they're a deep bunch. Coach Degenol really goes into that bench. So the fact
But
that they're
again,
able to just have fresh legs on the floor the whole time is just, I think, a huge advantage for them.
very creative coach though, and I he played lot of junk last night. And I thought, I thought Rick would play some tonight. Obviously, he did not. Uh, but we're not done yet. Obviously, it's only game one, but you got to ask yourself, is it going to be panic time for Minnesota, or is it just that they played like crap? But I told you, I was worried about Minnesota coming into the series because of how they played.
Yes.
They beat a bad Laker team, and they beat a team that they would have lost to if they, because Steph beat them already with Steph in the game, and then after that, they fucking lose.
Yeah, I'm on the
So,
record. I thought this is a 5-game series. I thought in favor of the Thunder. I
you
really
did. You did say five, a gentleman's sweep, a 5-game series, and if they're not careful,
could
it'll
happen,
be quick five.
right? You're a quarter of the way there.
And you know
Tomorrow,
what?
you could be half.
Out of the, I know I'm not trying to overreact. I'm trying to be level headed, but I think OKC and Indiana would be a great series because of the depth.
Oh yeah, I think that they mirror each other too. I think just pace of play and everything, it would be fantastic and fun, no doubt
And then
about that.
you'd have to see if OKC was smart enough to play fast and not settle for threes because Indiana can shoot them. OKC is not a great shooting team.
No, they're not.
So like you have to ask yourself, would they get sucked in and be stupid? It's which team handles themselves
But you know
smartly.
what? You got to give the Thunder discipline. They only take 21 threes, and the ones they take, they make. So 11 to 21.
Yep.
They just played a smart game, I thought.
Yep. And they attacked the middle and SGA, congratulations on the MVP. He got downhill and he made plays.
Well, that's what I love
Uh,
about him. He's able to go to the line and get fouled, and then once you see a couple go through, his mid-range game is just incredible. So once he gets
exactly.
going that way,
What was he? He was 2 of 13, right? In the
two
beginning
of
of the game,
11,
right?
2 of 11.
Yeah, and he wound up 10 for 27. So after that, he's 8 for 16.
Yeah, he played
So
great
you
in
know
the
what?
second half.
They got the ball to go through the
Well, that's what I
basket.
knew.
And
I'm
he
like
got downhill.
the Timberwolves are only up 4 here. I'm like I feel like they've outplayed the Thunder. They should be up at least 15. I feel like so. I thought, oh,
Yeah,
this is
but
not good.
that's where you say these
This
games and
ain't good.
you say to yourself, well, the Celtics are shooting 25% and they're up 20. How the hell did that happen? Well,
Yeah,
that just goes to show you things you have to execute and you have to adjust. And it's like tonight. Barkley felt strongly at the half that it was the Pacers game, but yeah, he turned up being right, but not because of what he said, because the Knicks gave away a game.
right, right.
See, the score is the score, and you have to participate, as we said, in giving away these games. And so you could you can use all the stats you want. Bottom line is you're up 8 with like 35 seconds left, right? I mean, that game's over. So you don't give me any stats. You're up 8 with 35 seconds left, you said, right?
Yes,
Weren't the Knicks up 8? So that game's over. I don't care what
they're up
stat you have.
they're up 8 with 35 seconds left. Yes.
Yeah, so that
And
game's over. I don't want to hear about your fucking stats at that point. The bottom line is you gave the shit away.
yeah,
Same
Neesmith bangs a
thing.
3, then it's 5
Yep.
point game, and then that's when it started. Yep.
Yeah, you just gave the shit away. So here we are in this situation, and it's just awful, awful situation.
What's
Terrible.
incredible is the Timberwolves shoot 30 more 3-point shots, but they only shoot 5 less free throws. So if you just would have taken 15 of those 3-point shots and put your head down and gone to the basket and got fouled a few more times, this game would have been a lot closer, maybe.
You know what's funny? If you catch that ball at the high post on the move and you rip through, you have options to go to the weak side or the strong side. And a guy like Randall, the bodies he has, they're going to bounce off him.
Yes.
Because the one weakness of OKC and Indiana is their bodies. But they'll both be like the two Ichabod Crane teams if they wind up meeting in the finals. They'll both be skinny minis. But I mean, just both of them, the both teams are not thick. But if you don't have the discipline to punish them for it, it doesn't matter.
I can't wait to see what these games twos, what they bring for us.
Yep.
Absolutely. You have 2 different tales here. Obviously, the Thunder.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah, the Thunder, like you said, the Wolves, I just do not know what the hell to think of them. I mean, they could come out and be just guns blazing here and win by 20
Yeah, we don't know what the hell they're
tomorrow,
doing.
or it could be more of the same tomorrow. It's going to be so fun to watch that game tomorrow. And
Why not?
the reality of the
Why
Knicks,
not have Edwards flash to the high post tomorrow and go dunk on somebody's head first play of the game?
yeah, well, he had a play in this game where he did try to take someone's head off with a dunk. But the problem is with him, his aggressiveness, I just think it wanes. It goes from being, hyperactive, DEFCON 1
Yeah.
to just falling asleep at times. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and this is where again, like I know he's what is he 23?
Yeah, he's young. He's 23, 24 at the
But
most.
like he's not aggressive enough right now. He's gotta put
Yeah,
his
yeah, he's
imprint
got to
on the
play
game.
with his hair on fire the whole game. That's how I want him to be.
And like I hate to say it, but like Michael Jordan got double teamed a lot. Uh
The intensity's got
LeBron
to be
got
there
double
though, the
teamed.
whole time. Yeah.
LeBron got double teamed a lot. Dwayne Wade got double teamed a lot. You have to play through that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You do.
And you gotta go before the double team
That
comes. If you're gonna
that
back
too.
dribble and wait
That
for
too.
it.
If a guy's driving to the rack, the double team, it's too late to come at that point. Then if a guy's
Exactly. So like he's gotta be more aggressive. He cannot be a spectator here. Cannot be a spectator.
yeah, I'd rather see him push the envelope and force it and tell them to calm down rather than the other way around. You want him to just be just
Yeah,
guns ablazing the whole time. But
sure.
obviously, a fantastic night here for basketball, NBA
Oh
at this
God, yeah.
year. It's just great. Like I said, you come off the high of March Madness and you're right into the NBA playoffs. It's just great stuff. And these games right here, like you said, the fact that you have four franchises. The last time you've had a championship between any of these four is when the Thunder were the Supersonics in 1979. Two of the other
Yep.
teams haven't won either at all. The Pacers and the Timberwolves have never won a championship. So we're
Yep.
guaranteed to see something really special here. And both these teams or all four of these teams actually are just, extremely, like I said, blue collar and likable.
Yeah,
So
it's
I have no
awesome.
problem. I have no problem with any of them winning,
No.
to say the least. So I really am, I'm enjoying this. So these series are going to be fantastic. And anything else you want to say, Uncle Dave, before we sign off here? I think we
No, just I'm looking forward to game two. And we gotta see. Is Minnesota fraud? Are they gonna come back and fight? My sense is that they're gonna bring a punch, but at the same time, OKC's defense might just be too much of a problem for them going forward.
well, that's the thing. I
Unless
think I think if they match the Thunder's intensity, then they absolutely have a chance. That's the one thing that glared to me is that the Thunder just seemed to be just moving at Mach speed, and the Timberwolves
yeah,
were a couple steps slower. So that
right.
that cannot
And
happen.
unless and they look for them to try to punish something at the high post here. And in the other series, we got to see if the Knicks are stunned. I don't think the Knicks will be that stunned. I just think that it's imperative for the Knicks to get off to a good start. You don't want Indiana to get out to like a 15-point lead all of a sudden, and all of a sudden you're looking at 0-2,
I would
and you
like
get a
to
little
see
nervous.
Coach Finch play some zone in the Thunder series. I think
Me too. Me
like to
too.
see him play some zone, and I would like to see Indiana potentially play some zone against the Knicks.
Sure.
That's kind of what like we said with Thibodeau. I don't see them doing that.
Right. And will Bridges attack Halliburton through the chest? 8 for 16 is great, but why not go downhill every time
Well,
you have it?
that's I'm a fan of that. The other team, unless the you have just an excellent two-way player like a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan. Most scorers though are not like that. They're not that elite defensively. So Halliburton and Brunson, I'm a fan of attacking those guys
Yeah, Halliburton
defensively.
can't cover us. I mean, just go through his chest, get him in
Right,
foul trouble.
right. To run him off screens and just go at him. Like you said, the fact they only had three fouls in an overtime game, you got to get him more fouls than that.
Yeah, you got to attack him because he weighs a buck oh five. He's a wuss that way. Got to go at him, and they're not going at him. It's not good enough.
Right. Right. So we have game two tomorrow with the Timberwolves and the Thunder. Obviously, my uncle and our predictions for that, like I said, it's just a matter of is Minnesota, are they going to come with the necessary intensity and passion that's required to
Sure.
give them a chance to win this game. I will say the Thunder at home are just that fan base might be the best fan base in the NBA.
Yeah, them and
The fact,
Indiana are both very into it.
yes, the fact that you have everybody wearing the damn t-shirts that they give on the seat, that just shows
If you
you the
did that in New
dedication.
York, they'd sell them.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, the dedication of this fan base, I give them credit. It's a very likable part of the country, I will say.
Guys in New York could be like, I'm not wearing that. I have my freedom.
I know. That's the
F that.
that's the one thing too. I mean, if you want to say selfishly, I'm like, the Knicks, I wouldn't mind it if they don't win because I don't want the city to burn down in the whole state. The Knicks fans are a little rowdy, so to see them get
The
humbled.
Garden was rocking tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could hear it from here.
Funny thing is, the defense chant was started by the 69 Knicks. And so the second possession of the game, the defense chant was already started. So the funny thing is like when you go back and look at these Knicks games, like I said, 95, 84, Knicks have blown some big leads. This was the worst one I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is
Just
this is a
terrible.
tough one. I mean, the Reggie Miller one
This
with
is like Charles Smith missing those layups. This is painful.
yes, yeah, the Knicks have had
Painful stuff. Knicks fans have been through a lot. This is painful. But the thing I really feel avoiding is this sports talk radio in New York. It used to be
Well,
fantastic.
what
Joe
makes
Benigno
this year,
tomorrow.
what would make this game the worst loss is at least the Knicks in that. I think it was the series where Reggie Miller hits the shots. I think the Knicks wound up winning that series, so obviously that lessens the blow. But if you wind
No,
up dropping
95 they
this,
lost. 94 they won. 95 the Knicks lost
okay,
that series because Patrick missed the finger roll.
okay, all right, so yeah, then that extra that stings an extra, then that's for sure. So if you're the Knicks, then you wind up losing this series as well, then it really is gonna that's really gonna suck because
And you're not
it's like the
and no matter
Thunder.
what you do, you
Yeah.
can't get the game back.
It's like when the Magic play the Rockets. The Magic are out playing the
Oh,
Rockets in that 94 final or 90 was it
terrible.
94? 95 I think it was actually.
95.
95 final, game 1. I'm sure you were watching Orlando Magic against the
Nick
Houston
Anderson.
Rockets. The Orlando Magic outplay the Rockets the whole game, but they wind up letting the game slide through their fingertips in the last seconds there. Nick Anderson missing 4 free throws in a row and Kenny Smith hitting a three to tie the game and send it into overtime.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Magic looked like the better team, but all of a sudden, the fact that they lost that game 1, it
They were too
deflated the
young and
whole team.
immature.
Yeah, it deflated the whole team, and they were not the same team after that mentally. The Rockets just wind up boat racing them.
Yeah, they got blown too.
So you have to. I think this Knicks team is very tough mentally. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but you have to factor that in mentally here. When you drop a game that you're supposed to win at home, game 1, that's rough. And like I said, Indiana, I'm sure for game 2, they're looking for blood.
And that's what kills you because that's a game you have in hand. You're up 14 with 2:30 left. That game's over.
Yeah.
I'm sure on the screen, if they did that thing with what's the percentage, it's
Oh yeah,
99.9%.
yeah. It's especially like I said with a defensive minded coach like Thibodeau and a guy like Brunson handling the ball. You're like, all right, this is a wrap. This
And
one.
I know the Knicks kept attacking and scoring as they scored like 2 or 3 times during that run on easy baskets, but you still need to take the clock.
What you
It's not
you
about scoring,
you
it's
I
about the
think
clock.
brought up the most important play in the game with Brunson trying to get the ball down and Obi underneath the basket, and they wind up getting the shot blocked, and it wasn't a foul, and the Pacers wind up getting the ball, and you've ran no time off the clock. If you just have to get fouled. You hit 2 free throws and you go up 7. Game's over probably at that point.
Well, that's why next year I'm calling it Brunson and Obi play when I'm in the huddle with my team and we're protecting the lead. I mean, do you
Yeah,
remember that? Because it's about the lead. It's about the clock. It's not about the score.
like you said, how
It's
many
about
people are
the
going to
clock.
mention that play tomorrow? That's play. You have to be
That's
mentioning
the
that
play.
play. That's the
That's the
play.
play.
I just watched the last 3 minutes here. That's the most important play right there. Not the
Yep.
Nesmith threes, because a lot of those, the threes he hits also, they're tough shots that he made. So I'm not saying they could have defended them probably better, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's still making tough shots. What you have to control is the ball in your hands, and
Yeah.
just didn't do that well enough there. And
And
that,
your best player is the point guard.
yes. Now I know, like you said, it's a tough situation because the guy is open underneath the basket, but it wasn't a good pass. That's the thing. He threw a bounce pass that had too much air underneath it, and it wound up getting deflected, and
Pull it out.
Pacers wound up
Pull
winning
it
it.
out. Make him fail you. That
Yes.
game's over. Pull it out.
All right, folks. All you basketball fans out there, live long and prosper. May the force be with you. Enjoy game 2 tomorrow night.